In today's video, I thought I would rank all the series' main characters, or more specifically members of the Shelby family, pertaining to one of my favourite TV series of all time, Peaky Blinders. I'm sure you already know the basis of what Peaky Blinders is by now, so I should make this clear. Although the title says ranking all the Shelbys specifically, I'll be including their extended family as well, inclusive of such pivotal people as Aunt Polly and Charlie Strong. This ranking is based purely on my opinions, ranging from such aspects as character development, likability, and their role in the show, etc. As well as this, like usual, these are solely my opinions, and you may very well disagree. Leave a comment in the description if you do, and let me know what your rankings would be. Coming in at lucky last, at 12th place, is Finn Shelby. Now, I should also state that basically all of the Shelby characters that I'm going to rank are decent characters and have some form of development throughout the series. However, Finn just seems to do the least, as well as having arguably the least development. Finn is there from the start, appearing as a little boy in season 1, and his biggest moment in this season is nearly blowing up Tommy's car with a rigged grenade. So, from the beginning, we knew what type of role Finn would play. From there, he ages up rather fast into season 2, and then more consistently throughout the rest of the seasons, growing as a character. In season 1 to 3, he really is just there as a background character, the youngest brother, the one who didn't go to war, and doesn't share the same bond as Tommy, Arthur, and John. However, in season 4, after John's death, you can see both Arthur and Tommy are trying to age and mature Finn, making him suitable for the life they lead. This can be seen from such as Tommy talking to him about his experiences with the women, and then advising him to take revenge on one of the Italian gangsters after Arthur is presumed dead. Finn understands these lessons and adapts this further into season 5 and season 6, in which during season 5, Finn is a bit of a wild gun, being very arrogant, oblivious and hot-headed, running irrationally and interrupting the meeting with Chang, Tommy and Arthur, and then foolishly telling Billy that they were shooting a fascist on the night of Mosley's speech. Even after Arthur has told him not to risk Billy's life with secrets he need not know. Further into season 6, Finn gets married to a woman called Mary and is finally kicked out of the family after siding his loyalties with Billy over his own blood, being Duke, Tommy's new son. So overall, his character is decent, but is entirely incomprehensible and oblivious to the dedication and duties he was required to carry out as a member of the Shelby family, and the broader Peaky Blinders. There is a chance he will return in the movie, but it is unlikely seeing that the actor whom plays Finn has stated he wants to break away from Peaky Blinders. Coming in at 11th place is Esme Shelby. Now, Esme really didn't have a whole lot to do throughout Peaky Blinders, and for the most part she was seen as a confidant for John, being also his wife. She does have some noticeable scenes such as inciting Tommy to run away with her and start a new life, as well as in general confronting John about Tommy and his decisions. In season 4 this is specifically so, as after John is nearly hung, she is very rude to Ada and dismisses any idea of communicating or seeing Tommy, with her even insulting the Shelby company when Ada arrives at their house. Furthermore, after John's death, she vows to leave the family and doesn't reappear until season 6, in which it's probably her most prominent role in the series. Tommy approaches her family's camp, to which she now seems to be the leader, and then goes on a treasure-like hunt with Tommy to find the source of his daughter's illness. Once finding the source, she gets payment from Tommy, and then in the following episode reveals that he has a son, and that is the last time we see her. She showed character development through the initial transitioning from quiet wife to a wife who questions the morality and actions of both her husband and their gang, finally resulting in her departure and becoming her own leader, away from the Peaky Blinders. Coming in at 10th place is Lizzie Shelby. Now, Lizzie Shelby started off as a working lady whom was originally going to marry John, but her unfaithful nature, which was revealed when Tommy propositioned her with money, led to the demise of this marriage. From there, Tommy continued to entertain his casual relationship with her, employing her as his personal secretary and offering her a role in a more prominent and respectable life. She has a great scene in season 2, when Tommy requires her to play up her previous life's gestures in order to kill a military general, This shows the length at which Lizzie was willing to risk her life for Tommy. Furthermore, in Season 3, she is quite legitimately the cause of both Grace's and John's eventual death at the hands of the Italians. If you remember, she was going out with Luca's brother, to which the Peaky Blinders did not approve, with John eventually cutting Angel Changretta, and thus leading to Grace being shot, Vincente being killed by Arthur, and then Luca killing John. Furthermore, in Season 4, she becomes pregnant with Tommy's child, Ruby, and becomes Tommy's wife by the end. In the final 2 seasons, 5 and 6, she arguably has the most prominent role so far. In Season 5, she constantly has conflict with Tommy and schemes with Linda to leave the Shelby life forever, to which she does eventually do. And in Season 6, Tommy and Lizzie's relationship at first seems to be much better than in Season 5, but eventually starts to deteriorate with the death of Ruby and Tommy's physical betrayal with Diana, all equating to her leaving in the finale. Overall, Lizzie had an amazing character development throughout the show, and evolved arguably the most out of any character. At 9th place is Linda Shelby. Now, I understand Linda is largely disliked by the show's fan base, yet she was a pivotal character with regards to Arthur and his story, and for that reason alone, she is above those who came before. She was a crucial element of the show's later seasons. She is first introduced in Season 3 as Arthur's new wife, whom genuinely wants to help him go on the straight and narrow path. He accepts God to a great degree, and in the eyes of Tommy and John, he becomes softer, unwilling to so willingly commit violent acts at the drop of a hat, thanks to Linda and her enlightenment. Her control over Arthur is established from the first episode she is in, with Linda being the only person whom has more control over Arthur than Tommy. At first, Linda starts off as a good wife, whom genuinely wants to help Arthur. Throughout Season 3, this relationship is strained as Arthur continues to commit violent, gang-related acts for his gang and broader family. However, at the end of Season 3, Linda does in fact persuade Arthur to move to America with her, to which is eventually swindled by Tommy and Arthur is arrested. During Season 4, Linda is living her ideal life with Arthur, showing how she had indeed been able to reverse the trauma to an extent and live a solitary, peaceful life. She, however, starts snorting cocaine near the finale, and by the time Season 5 comes around, she is completely over Arthur and their Peaky Blinders lifestyle. She is shown to have transitioned from a loving wife who wants the best for her troubled husband, to a woman who wants to rid herself of her last name and relationships with those around. This all eventuates in Linda actually attempting to shoot Arthur herself, whom is only saved by Polly when she shoots Linda in the shoulder. Linda then leaves Arthur and doesn't return until the final 2 episodes of Season 6, in which she plays a very minor yet majorly impactful role in helping to reform Arthur and help cure his drug addiction. Overall, Linda played a pivotal role in Peaky Blinders and is truthfully a second side to Arthur as a character, with her being responsible for a lot of his actions from Season 3 onwards, such as him becoming re-addicted to drugs and his overall emotional state throughout these latter seasons. In 8th place is Grace Shelby. Now, like Linda, Grace played a pivotal role in Tommy's life, being the motivation to go legit, and with her eventual death, leading to the consolidation of organizations such as the Grace Shelby Orphanage, etc. Grace is first introduced as a spy working with Inspector Campbell to undermine the Peaky Blinders, but more importantly find the missing guns. She falls in love with Tommy, and Tommy with her. She, however, is outed as a traitor and she leaves Tommy at the end of Season 1, after Tommy confesses no more feelings for her. She doesn't reappear until Season 2, to which Tommy is still caught up on her, and her him. They have a nightly escapade, meeting Charlie Chaplin, etc., and then she falls pregnant to Tommy. We then get to Season 3, where Tommy and Grace seem to finally be happy and together, having a great wedding and raising Charlie, their son. As a quick side note, Season 3 Episode 1 might be one of my most favourite episodes within the whole series. Furthermore, Tommy even spoils her with a sapphire as a present. Unfortunately, however, she ends up being killed in Episode 3 of Season 3 and does not return until Season 5, in which she is a mental illusion of Tommy's whilst he is on opium, constantly urging Tommy to kill himself and join her in the afterlife. His guilt essentially building up. Grace for me was always entertaining on screen and definitely had an interesting dynamic during Season 1 with Tommy. She was more or less a side character in Season 2, and finally in Season 3 I did enjoy her scenes with Tommy quite a lot. I also liked her largely in Season 5, as an almost ghost representing Tommy's guilt regarding his actions and how he usurped his power and the consequences of. Overall, I enjoyed her character, and her importance within the show was heavily noted. Coming in at 7th place is good old Charlie Strong. Now, what can I say besides the fact that this is the man that is the most reliable member of the Shelby family. Always there when you need him. Even offering words of wisdom to Tommy throughout all of the seasons. He is, I believe, Tommy's mother's brother, so Charlie is always a pleasure on screen, and offers some of the funniest moments the show has to offer. As well as all this, his final shootout in Season 6, Episode 6, is sensational, and shows he still got it at his old age. Also providing a nice scene in which Charlie actually gets in on the action, and benefits the Peaky Blinders exponentially. He is simply a great, reliable, and charismatic character. At 6th place, Michael Gray. Now Michael's character is a mixed bag for me. I've always thought he was decent, yet his role in the final season really dampens his impact. From seasons 2 to 4, he is shown to be a valuable asset to the company, perhaps even being the second most intelligent after Tommy, even being the company's financial manager. In season 2, Michael is largely innocent. Although he does have a sense of arrogance and ambition as Tommy, this can be seen when he refuses to go back to his original orphan home, wanting to stay with Tommy, Polly, and the Peaky Blinders. Initially, Michael doesn't really do anything in the family, and is merely there at Polly's request. Although, after Tommy promises Polly that Michael will deal with solely the legitimate business, he is allowed to convene more with his cousins, being Tommy, Arthur, and John, etc. And for the most part, this is Michael's role, being an ambitious, sometimes entitled, second Tommy, whom handles solely the legitimate aspect of the Shelby company. He has some great scenes, especially in season 3 with Arthur and John, as he slowly is becoming more and more corrupt, such as when they are shooting guns during the night and Michael finally killing Father Hughes. Then in season 4, he chooses to make a deal with Luca to spare Polly over Tommy, a completely understandable thing to do. For example, would you rather save your mother or your boss? This essentially exiles Michael to America, to which he meets Gina, and his down spiral begins. During season 5, Michael has caused the Shelby company to lose a lot of money through the stock market. On top of this, he is constantly in strife and conflict with Tommy, aiding in Tommy's paranoia concerning his throne. Michael makes a play to become the leader of the Peaky Blinders, which is funnily rebuffed by Tommy, and Michael is completely kicked out of the family business. Now, this would actually be great if Michael had a satisfying ending. However, he does not, and spends basically the entire season 6 inside a prison cell, to then be shot in the head by Tommy in the season finale. He literally does nothing of any consequence to Tommy throughout the whole of season 6, as he is simply outsmarted by Tommy in the literal first episode of this final season. Michael had the potential to be one of the greatest characters, however his conflict and final stage concerning his character arc fell flat. Coming in at 5th place as we enter the top echelon of characters is Ada Shelby. Now, Ada might actually have my favourite character development out of the whole show. She is first shown as the vulnerable younger sister whom is in love with Tommy's childhood best friend turned enemy, Freddie Thorne. Throughout season 1, Ada constantly argues with Tommy, and even Freddie, eventually de-escalating the conflict between Kimber and Tommy, which doesn't work out, as Tommy is shot and Kimber eventually killed. Furthermore, in season 2, she is shown to be becoming slowly more independent, living by herself in London. She is still disagreeing with Tommy, but they are becoming closer and closer. By the time season 3 rolls around, she is becoming more prominently involved in the family's business, both legally and illegally, with her becoming the head of property and acquisitions for the Shelby Company Limited. When Tommy is injured by Father Hughes, she as well takes a pivotal role in avoiding the killings of all the Shelby gang members due to the Russians' backstabbing, etc. And by season 4, she is almost entirely a new character, being much more confident and proud of her role in the Shelby Company, as well as being more willing to defend Tommy, and think analytically as well, such as Tommy. This can be seen when she walks Linda home after John's funeral, putting aside her personal biases and grudges to look out for the broader family. Then in season 5, she is even more prominent within the company, as well as Tommy's life. She constantly discusses and confides within Tommy, as well as Finn, with her in the first episode instructing Finn to take it easy and relax, and later on, essentially being a therapist-like figure for Tommy to rant to. And then, finally in season 6, Ada becomes a top player and is arguably my favourite her character has ever been in any of the seasons. From the beginning, she is shown to be very confident and almost like a second leader to the gang, looking after Arthur, etc. Then, throughout the remainder of the season, she becomes the boss of the Peaky Blinders for a day, bossing around Isaiah and dictating the gang's actions, as well as taking Tommy's place in the meeting with Mosley, Diana, and Jack Nelson, to which she does hold her own very well. However, this must be stated, after the passing of Polly's actor Helen McCrory, I am not sure whether or not Ada was actually supposed to be this pivotal in the final season, or if Polly was actually instead meant to be the character in these previously mentioned scenes, such as with Jack Nelson. Nonetheless, Ada throughout Peaky Blinders has been phenomenal, and had possibly my favourite character progression throughout the whole show. All her scenes are great, and her role in the Peaky Blinders is undeniable. In fourth place is the first Shelby brother, being John Shelby. Now, it should be stated that the next 4 spots are all masterful characters and have been a joy to watch. John is an amazing character, being the youngest out of the pivotal trio. He is often hot-headed and impulsive, yet innocent and kind-hearted. From season 1, John has been shown as the most vulnerable brother, with his love for Lizzie, eventual marriage to Esme, and further down the line his impulsive actions against Angel Changretta and many more things. An amazing scene which depicts John's nature is that when Tommy instructs him to kill Luca Changretta's mother in season 3. John and Arthur simply refuse, with John being much more adamant and engaging in a full-blown argument with Tommy, even becoming very emotional. When it actually comes time to capture Vincente, John and Arthur do indeed spare the mother against Tommy's order, which does lead to John's death. But still, it shows John's kind nature and inability to completely become ruthless and violent. Polly even states in season 4, by stating that John was a good boy. There isn't really much else to say, and those who have watched the show would know why. He's an essential and valuable character to Peaky Blinders and shares so many great scenes within the show that it's just too many to list. He's always a pleasure to watch on screen and adds a great degree of humour within each season. And he is one of the main characters of the show, so it's just undeniable that he should be ranked this high. At third place is Polly Gray. Rest in peace, Helen McCrory. I see a lot of people claim that the show is as much Polly's as it is Tommy's, and whilst I may slightly disagree, Polly still has a colossal role within Peaky Blinders, and is arguably the second most important character after Tommy. She is shown to be more or less Tommy's second in command, more like a confidant or consigliere, very similar to Tom Hagen in The Godfather for Michael. Tommy confides his plans in Polly and always seeks her advice when it comes to his schemes and ambitions. She calls Tommy out when he's wrong, and even goes against Tommy in certain cases, such as the finale of season 3 when she wishes to hear a different view about the company. Furthermore, her character experiences a great degree of tragedy and redemption throughout the series. In season 2, she is raped by Inspector Campbell, and from there she becomes vulnerable and traumatized, which leads to some great television in season 3, which shows Polly recovering from her abuse with her new lover, and slowly starts regaining complete control of herself. That is until the finale of season 3, where she is nearly hanged, leading to a complete mental breakdown during the beginning of season 4, in which she has become a crazy recluse. However, this all passes and she once again proves to be a fundamental character within the gang, scheming with Tommy to outsmart Luca and concoct a great plan to actually see the end of Luca's gang. Furthermore, in season 5, she is once again a main player, helping Tommy with his plans and facing trouble with Michael and his ambitions grow and conflicts arise. This all accumulates to Polly in the end finding love with Aberama and completely retiring from the Peaky Blinders gang and company. Unfortunately and tragically, the actor for Polly, Helen McCrory, passed away before season 6 was filmed, and thus she is absent physically, but is still definitely felt emotionally and spiritually, with callbacks to her character constantly being made. I can't help but think in season 6 that Polly would have perhaps helped Michael take on Tommy, or alternatively, helped both her physical son and spiritual son in different ways, playing both sides as she loves them both dearly. We will never know, and the times and scenes which Polly did in fact have were among some of the greatest, and her performance within the show will be forever cherished and discussed. At second place is Arthur Shelby. Arthur Shelby is a phenomenal character depicting grief, guilt, addiction, and love. He is constantly shown throughout the show to struggle with mental health problems caused by the war, no doubt. In season 1, he is angry, aggressive, and depressed, even attempting to hang himself. During season 2, he is equally angry and unhinged, killing a poor boy, and is yet still trying to take a more prominent role within the family business, such as taking over the Sabini's London club and refurbishing his Garrison pub for a grand opening. However, he still struggles with his trauma from the war and resorts to cocaine, which he becomes hooked on. This is basically Arthur in a nutshell for the first 2 seasons. Tommy's right-hand man, whom will do any necessary act, no matter how violent, for the reputation and power of the Peaky Blinders. That is until season 3, when he meets Linda, his new wife. As previously stated, Linda puts Arthur on the seemingly straight path, introducing him once again to God and attempting to right the wrongs he has committed, and help him settle into a solitary, peaceful family life. However, this is not the case, as Arthur continues to operate within the Peaky Blinders. An amazing scene which depicts Arthur's complex contradictions is in season 3 episode 1, where he is informed to kill the Russian agent whom has attended Tommy's wedding. He literally pauses just before he shoots the Russian in the head, arguing with himself and banging his head violently against the wall, in conflict with the right or wrong, light and dark side of himself, eventually giving in to this darker, older, natural instinct side, killing the Russian. It is a great scene. Furthermore, in season 4, it begins with Arthur and Linda living happily and peaceful on a farm. They are raising chickens, Arthur is fixing cars and helping old people, etc. It is a happy, calm life. That is until John is killed and Arthur is pulled back into the fray, vowing to kill Luca Changretta. He slowly breaks out of this peaceful cocoon and begins killing Italians and resorting back to his old life. This once again culminates in Arthur killing Luca and avenging John. Season 5 and 6 arguably see Arthur at his lowest. In season 5 he constantly argues with Linda and brutally attacks one of Linda's male friends for simply talking to her, forcing Linda to leave Arthur, but not before attempting to kill him. After this happens, Arthur goes off the deep end, once again falling into addiction, both heavily drinking and snorting cocaine. Then in season 6, he is constantly high on opium and for the most of this season is high on any forms of drugs, depicting his methods of dealing with uncomfortable difficulties, such as Polly's death and Linda leaving him. Throughout the whole season he struggles, until Tommy gets Linda back into his life and he is seemingly finally redeemed and clean of any drugs. A full circle really. Arthur's complex nature and struggles with addiction, redemption, love and betrayal all allow for some amazing television and promote Arthur as a troubled angel, truly a monumental character and arguably as popular as Tommy himself. With that also to be mentioned, all his scenes are phenomenal, and all scenes really which 3 brothers share together, even with Polly, etc. They're just phenomenal scenes and they really make the show what it is. Now, finally, as you would have guessed, coming in at number 1 is Tommy Shelby. Now, what can I say about Tommy Shelby that I haven't already said in my other video? Why is Tommy Shelby so popular? And the honest answer is not much. He is easily the most complex character on the show and depicts the struggles of a good man doing bad things to a good end. To fully understand why he is such an amazing character and ranked number 1 on my list, please click the information card at the top of the screen, this video being called Why is Tommy Shelby So Popular? It explains perfectly why Tommy is the number 1 ranking for me. I would rather you watch that video than watch me once again explain and rehash basically the exact same information. And let's be honest, this video is already long enough. But with all that being said, they were my rankings for the main Shelby family members of Peaky Blinders. Let me know if you had a different list. If so, what was different and why? I would love to discuss this with you in the comments. But with all that being said, thank you for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed, and have a great night or day wherever you are.